So, hi, Jill. Thanks for coming.
Hey.
I just
Yeah,
wanted
thanks,
to
man.
introduce you. You're Jill Eickmann. You're the co-founder of the Leela Improv Theater Company and Training Center. And I actually took classes there when I lived in San Francisco area and loved it.
Oh, thanks.
So thank you. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
thank you. So basically, I just wanted to hop in and talk about loneliness. I want
yeah.
to talk about our personal experiences and also where improv and loneliness intersect. And I know you're
Hmm.
kind of weaving the personal and improv together in a project, so I want to hear about that.
Hmm. Yeah.
So I'm curious, like when you think of loneliness, what comes to mind first and foremost?
When I think of loneliness, what comes to mind? I think it's a specific sadness, um, and kind of like that deep feeling in the pit of your stomach. Like just feeling unvalued or ignored. I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
For me, I always wonder what it feels like for people because a lot of times for me, it feels like heartbreak. And I'm not really sure why that part of it is. Maybe because I'm
Mhm.
lonely for a romantic partner.
Well, I do think it feels like a bit of a rejection, that could be similar. I guess for me, that could be similar to like a breakup or a heartbreak, as you're saying, there
Yeah.
is this feeling of loss and rejection.
Sometimes when I'm feeling lonely, I'm thinking, oh, if I only had a partner, oh, if I only had a kid, that's going to be the answer. And then I remember we were talking about you being a mom and
Mm-hmm.
finding loneliness within motherhood sometimes.
Yeah.
And that to me is like, oh, wow, that's shocking. Maybe that's not the answer being a mom.
Yeah. I think it's specific to adult friendship. There's a specific type of, we're talking about heartbreak. There's a specific type of heartbreak, I think, in regards to adult friendship. And I've been seeing, now that I'm a mom, I see other like little memes going around and different things that people are talking about in this regard of loneliness being a mom. Um, and yeah, there is this like this call for mothers to include others. You know what I mean? Like you see that sometimes you'll go to the playground or you'll go to the gymboree or whatever, like the places where people hang out who are moms and parents, right? And then you'll see these like clusters of women kind of in a circle, and
Well,
it's for me it's just like, oh my god, childhood. You know what I mean? Like it harkens back to high school. It's like, oh
right, the in
no,
crowd.
I'm the outsider. And I do feel this desperation that's very similar to like high school or elementary school or middle school of like, I want to be included, include
Yeah,
me. So there's a lot of like push, I think sometimes in different mom circles of like opening up your circle. It's like if you
right,
see a mom, playing with their kid and you're in a little gaggle of women friends, open up your circle, yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And that feeling of loneliness and being on the outside of a circle is actually what drove me to improv
Mm-hmm.
because I was sitting around in the Bay Area and I had some lovely friends, but I also had a lot of time on my own and I was feeling like an outsider and going, I need people, I need community, and I also need to play and get out of my head and laugh and smile more. And that's how I found improv. And what surprised me was when I went to improv, I thought it was going to be all these outgoing, confident, performing types. And it turned out there were a lot of sort of what I would call lovable misfits
Yes.
and people who are introverts and awkward and afraid. And it shocked me.
Yeah. I think, if I feel like if you're doing improv right, maybe that's my like little high horse thing, then you are creating that welcoming environment for all people, you know? Uh, Unfortunately, we hear of a lot of improv communities that don't create that,
Mm,
and it is that picture that you see sometimes where it's just all a bunch of outgoing people, and if you don't can't play the same game as everybody, then you know you're not in, or you don't feel like you're in,
right.
um So I think there is a responsibility specifically for improv teachers to create that inclusive, welcoming environment. You know, it's definitely important because it feels like a double owie. It's like, oh, I'm not even included in improv where it's supposed to be yes and everyone's included. So it's really important for improv teachers to take that care and responsibility seriously to make sure everyone's included.
And for people who don't necessarily know, like, what are the fundamentals of improv that you think help with inclusion and just the fundamentals of improv in general?
Yeah.
I often find it to be therapy, to be honest.
Yes. I mean, like you said, with the reason why you segued to improv was this like opening up the circle. I mean, so many warm-up games that we play in improv exist in a circle, right? To physically and metaphorically make that statement that everybody's included. We want everybody's ideas, right? We're going to support everybody's ideas. And it also creates that kind of like, we're all on the spot. We all have an accountability. We all have a responsibility. There's nobody like sitting outside of the circle watching. You know, I've had that happen a lot. Like a lot of students, first-time students will be like, can I just watch? And I'm like, no, you know what I mean? You can't watch. We need you. We need your voice, and we're going to include your voice, you know?
Right.
So it's really important to create that part of that safe space, or a big part of that safe space and inclusive space is the circle where we're all accountable, we're all responsible, we're all supporting each other. Yeah.
Yeah, it just dawned on me that so many exercises are done in a circle, which is a
Yeah.
very inclusive formation.
Mm-hmm.
And then before each performance, we would say, I got your back, I got your back, and literally pat
Right.
each other on the back. And as
Right.
corny as it sounds, it really is lovely and reassuring.
Yeah. Yeah. And that reminder, especially when you do shows, there's a lot of fear that gets brought up for shows, because I think a lot of people before they get on the show, they start thinking about themselves as an individual. You know, they start
Mm,
thinking, I better be good, I better be funny, you know, I hope I don't fuck up, you know, whatever it is, right? A lot of individual fear starts to come up. So it's really important to have that, whatever your team decides or whatever your group decides, like I got your back, that connection that we're in this together. Don't forget that, you know, like this is not all on you. We're in this together, and anytime that you feel vulnerable, it's my responsibility as an improviser to really get your back, to have your back. Yeah.
I love that
Yeah.
idea because I realize a lot of times when I feel lonely, I'm thinking I'm all alone. I have to do everything alone. Everything falls on me
Yeah.
to do solo.
Right.
And it's not true. You know,
No.
if I reach out via text or via phone call, I mean, there are people out there who will help and be supportive.
Yeah, totally. And I think especially what's going on right now, you know, this collective initiative, you know, is so important. We're like, it's just such a reminder that we are not alone. We are all in this together. We need each other.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah.
And the other things
Yeah.
I thought with improv is it very much gets you out of your thinking head and
Hmm.
you're in the moment.
Yeah.
And so when you're out of that thinking space, you're just in the moment and nothing else can really infiltrate your thoughts.
Right. Yeah. I was just having a talk with somebody else about this, how like improv is that really beautiful hybrid of creativity and mindfulness. You
Mm,
know, it's like we have to be in the present moment and we're being creative, you know, and both of those things are incredibly healing. So for them to be combined, it's like, you know, it's like uber healing, uber therapeutic experience, you know, it's so good for you. It's so good for you.
and
Yeah.
in that light, you are doing a project right now that is personally
Yeah.
healing, improv related. Tell me about that.
Right, right. Yeah. So this show is called The Friendship Show. So I think since I became a mom, it's been really heightened. It's been super heightened. Like I said, my adult friendship, my adult loneliness has really been like in my brain space and in my heart space. So I created the show called The Friendship Show, and I wanted to work with my own loneliness, you know, in the show. And then I also wanted it to be an improv show where folks from the audience could also play with their own loneliness, you know, with their own associations to loneliness and what they're currently dealing with, right? So it's an improv show, and I've been structuring different games, different exercises where folks come up and play with me. And then all the relationships that we do on stage are friendships. So different friendships, different stages of friendships, and different ways to explore friendships in that improv space. Yeah.
Wow. And what have you found doing these shows? Are they cathartic or?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people who do self-revelatory, one worry that we often have is that it's kind of like masturbatory in a way. It's just like, oh, this is all for me. You know, everybody's going to see my wounds, and I get to use these audience members, you know, for my therapy. You know, so there is that really important thing to theater, though, that to make sure that you're taking care of the audience too, and that they're having their own experience as well. It's not all for you. Yeah. So
Totally.
what I've been kind of surprised by, because I was worried that it was all about me, you know, is that I look out into the audience and people have got tears streaming down their face. You know, people are sharing stories of their own loneliness, of their own like heartbreak with friendships, right? Their own cravings for these, you know, just like bestie relationships, you know? So it's been nice to see it normalized, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Wow.
Yeah.
And after COVID, are you going to be getting these performances back up again?
Yeah, and I'm even kind of trying to think of it like, how do I do it now? You know, like
Oh,
like as
exciting.
we're quarantined, you know, Leela, our theater company, is doing a lot of online shows. So I'm trying to think about how I could possibly adapt it to the platform. And you know, I'm just trying to think through. It's like, oh yeah, that's really interesting. Like, I've had some friends call me out of the blue, you know, that I haven't seen in years. And I was like, maybe I should do a show with them. You know what I mean? And explore, you know, just our friendship. I don't know if that's happening to you, but that's something that I feel like is happening for a lot of people, of like, you hear from some people you haven't heard from in a long time. And,
Yes, that
and,
is
and
happening.
yeah. And a lot of times my mind with my woundings around loneliness is to look for the holes, be like, why hasn't that person called me? You know what I mean?
Right. And the
So
irony is you could call them.
exactly. It's so ridiculous. So but noticing actually when I'm getting some positives, right? And like, oh my gosh, you know, I had a friend from grad school come to one of my online classes, and she lives all the way in Hong Kong. She was like
Oh,
in the
that's so
future,
cool.
you know, from the call. So it's like people that I haven't seen over 10 years, you
Yeah.
know, have been reaching out. Yeah.
So what I always kind of want to try and bring at the end tips and tools that you think have worked for you when you feel lonely. If you
Right.
might have any thoughts to share with people on that.
Yeah, I think the one I was just talking about is a huge one for me. Is like, have those mindful moments of like, Jill, you're just focusing on the holes, you know? Like there's lots of other people that have been giving you attention. You know what I mean? Like, don't just go for the holes. And that's a big one for me. And also, like, I think remembering the childhood woundings, you know, like, I
Yeah.
think similar to you, like, I had an older sister who didn't want to play with me, you know, but now our relationship is really strong, and she calls me, and our adult relationship is great. And she has made the effort, you know, and has even like apologized, like, I'm sorry I didn't treat you well when we were kids, you know?
Oh, wow.
So I have to remember that. It's like, you know, yeah, this wounding is about my sister, you know, not playing with
Right.
me, but she is playing with me now. She is,
Right.
you know, she's there for me now.
I love
So,
that. Yeah,
yeah,
my sister is in my life as well. I mean, she was there for me then. I think I just wanted more than someone 4 years older than me wanted to like give their little sister. I just wanted
right,
so much,
right,
kind of
right.
too much. But so Steph,
Yeah.
I love you if you're listening.
I know, Leslie, I love you.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to chat
yeah.
and explore loneliness. And I can't wait to actually drop in on one of the Leela online
Oh,
improv
great.
classes because
Yeah.
I love that it's online now, so I can actually be part of the Bay community still.
The more vulnerable that we are as artists, we're allowing our audience to be vulnerable too. and
Mm.
feeling their feelings. We're like, you know, I really believe that like theater artists are shamans, you know, artists are shamans, right? We
Yeah.
have to put ourselves through a process, right, of healing and all of that, and being vulnerable in order for our audience to also be vulnerable. We're leaders.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love it. Well,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you. Thank
Thank
you. Thank you for the
you.
improv. Thank
Yeah.
you for the talk.
Thank you.
And I'll see you online in a class soon.
Yes, soon.
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 Okay, cool. All right, I'll see you.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.